feel like I don't cracked another code. Greetings. Let's give honor to source, to the Most High, to the divine for making all this possible. So I'm sitting here just fucking reflecting. And shout out to Solara Speaks. She said something very vital in her recent video. But bro, when I say this shit really, really, really hit me to my core, I want y'all to sit with this, right? I know you hear me talk about all this healing shit, being on this journey and so forth, and all these things that go on. Let me tell you one thing I don't ever forget about. Is to enjoy life. Your inner child, even through the fact of purging and healing and going through whatever you're going through, your inner child still deserves to enjoy life. When I speak about the inner child, the self-expression, that's what I'm also speaking up about as well. It's like the inner child wanting to not just reclaim your self-expression, like to reclaim the power of what, you may have been silenced or whatever traumatic experience, whether you didn't have it or not, or whether you were part of something where you didn't even realize. Because the reason why this is so vital is because we have been in, with structures and so forth, like, again, that preyed on our woundings, to really keep us from really enjoying life. The shit is so performative that's collapsing. That's what people don't realize. It's collapsing. It's so performative. Social media, all these things. I'm sitting here like, you got to show me that you're having fun in life. You got to record everything about your life. Do you know how fucking exhausting that is? Do you not know how much attention, how much focus, how much mental, spiritual, emotional, energy, currency that goes into that shit? If I documented my whole life, oh my gosh, I would have to, when I look at the old world, do you see the camera crews and all that stuff that come around on people, bro? I was like, what the fuck? It's so funny because this brings me back to a vision I have, which I realized the world is going away from. It was like I was walking and then there was this couple that just showed up. And the couple was again, in the old world narrative, people of certain status and so forth. And then the gentleman, it's like he wanted all the attention. But then I noticed the woman that was with him, her face, her body language said everything. She just looked so uncomfortable. It's like she was just doing it just because of the status, just because of the attention. All attention doesn't mean it's good attention. And she looked at me, but I just looked because all of a sudden all these cameras start coming out of nowhere. They start taking pictures and I just looked and I didn't want to be in a picture. I just kept walking. I just walked on. And what I was getting from that was a message of the world moving away from, again, feeding or fueling a world from attention. Or, that couple was a representation of how it was teaching us to forget about ourselves, or they have gotten so consumed by what they show up as that they have no identity. Do y'all know how deep that shit is? That when I sit here and I realize how the powers of anal used to be, or even the focus was trying to keep me from knowing who I was, the versions of me. That's why I highlight the importance of going through self-discovery, the healing, or going through finding yourself, because what that does is you come back home to yourself, but you also reinvent yourself. You also find ways to readapt. What's the word I'm looking for? not just reinvent. It's probably similar, the same meaning, but not kind of reshape. But what is the word? But anywho, you get what I'm saying. It's like, again, one thing I was just sitting here and get clarity. I was like, wow, I'm literally in through distance and learning more about myself, digging deep within myself and learning like the parts of myself that I put away, or that the world or that society was trying to tell me to throw away, and reconnecting to that. I'm like, I drew something today. I don't know what I did with it. And I remember, because if you haven't been following me, or I don't even like to say the word follow, but if you haven't been here with me, I'm an artist. I'm an artist, and in every shape and form. That's why I don't subscribe to be just one thing, because my imagination is my power. My essence just shows me there's so many different versions and parts of me. So with that, I was telling myself, like, I just trusted my own intuition, and I just started doing my characters like I would when I was like 5 and 6. And I laughed, because it's like I drew myself and I was playing around, but in that process, because certain things that I create when it comes to artistry, I would create from a place of trying to, like, I would do my own unique thing, but it wouldn't be coming from a place of, like, just from my own imagination. Like, I will get pictures, I would get stuff, and then create my own, unique spin on a lot of stuff. But then I started to realize, like, as you realize, you start to tap into that infinite possibility or potential, you start to realize, like, yo, I can make my own characters. I can do my own thing. I can create and it's the same thing with my book. So with this artistry thing, I'm like, hold on, bro. If I can create and do things naturally like this, now I have to tap into the fact that I also can create my own whatever it is. And in that, it's owning that. Meaning, like, owning up to the fact of having confidence in that. And that's what I realized. I'm like, yo, what about me? One thing that'll reveal to yourself about insecurity is, like, what about me? Is it enjoying this? And then what comes up? Ask yourself, what comes up around that? And I asked myself, I'm like, yo, I started laughing when I started looking at it, because it was the little boy in me. I was reconnecting with that version of me. So when I start doing that, doing that picture again, I was like, hold on. This is like the version of me that I pushed away for so long. Let me allow him to live again, the little version in me. Let me allow that 5, 6, 7-year-old kid to live again. He's wanting to come alive again. Ask yourself about that. When I speak about the inner child, it's also the importance of, what are you keeping yourself from enjoying? Because in that trauma, in that emotional state, in that stagnation, in that part of yourself that has been laying dormant, is the enjoyment. The same place where the trauma and the pain was, however it happens, is the same place where at a point in time before the pain or the experience happened, there was a part of you that enjoyed, that had a sense of joy before it even happened, to change your trajectory on how you approach certain things. Imagine that. It can be that home. You could have experienced a lot of joy or a certain experience until, something traumatic happened, or something that was in your memory bank that you thought you forgot about. Your emotions are portals. When I was drawing that, and I had to realize, like, man, let me put this phone down. Because what I did is that I kept looking. I got this new big sketchbook, and I told myself what I was going to do. But sometimes the divine says, no, you have other things to do. You want to create, because I had this idea of, like, okay, I'm going to create a children's book, or I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. But in reality, I'm telling myself, like, sometimes you can get something and the divine has otherwise. Meaning, like, has a purpose, a different purpose for it. Now just think about like I was sitting here, and I know a lot of probably guardians or parents battle with this that they never talk about. Some of us sometimes, even we unconsciously don't want to accept it or believe it, but our children are not burdens. They're not burdens. And I realize a lot of this can stem from the fact of what we either have dealt with personally, or what we hear to shift the perspective on. I don't want to keep holding this phone. Like, shift our perspective on, and that's why the inner child aspect or learning more about ourselves is so vital, because what it will do, it will shift your perspective even if you have children. This can probably be like, this is definitely going to be very vital for a lot of us who do have children right now. This message that I have right now regarding that, because a lot of us are missing out on life or enjoying life because of that. And that's what I realized. I'm like, damn, sometimes I realize like I tell you about that pattern of breaking codependency. Some of us are really here as guiding lights and reconnecting to our essence and our inner child to really bring forth something the world has not just never seen, experienced, but to ignite something that brings back a spark that within us all. And it's wild because I know that is a part of what I'm naturally doing and what I'm here to do. And that's what, like, imagine like you haven't been in the spirit of joy or connected to who you truly are for so long. So how have we not been in a performative state of mind or being? And I was like, dang, it was hitting me. I was like, in enjoying my life will also highlight who doesn't know how to, or if those who are inspired by it will either be supportive of it, and more so supportive of it in whichever way. It doesn't, and when I say support, being of inspiration is someone also, ways of support isn't me, like you coming from a word that you automatically think supporting financially. That's one part of it. But supporting could be in a way of you being inspired and supporting yourself. It's like allow what I've experienced or what I'm sharing. Can you allow and hold space for yourself to be inspired? To be inspired again. Like, to enjoy life. Because I'm like, man, I made videos about a lot of stuff, but I'm like, damn, am I keeping myself from enjoying life? Who have I been around? What have I connected myself with? And it's not being dependent on them, because that's where the codependency and the suffering come from, because we want to make it seem like, or sometimes we can say it's the other person. But when you see your role and bring it back to yourself, what am I keeping myself from? And then what guilt and shame comes up around that? That's something I had to personally experience in relationships. I'm like, yo, outside of people like chasing dreams and, building a bag, doing all this, bro, where's the enjoyment in that? If you really not connected to your essence, if you really not coming from that innocent place, or that place of love or honesty or authenticity. I told y'all we've been in a performative world who have been like behind it. It's like so deceptive. I told you it's like the Wizard of Oz, giving off this illusion, casting this illusion like, this is how you're going to enjoy life if I offer you this, if I give you this, or, it coming from someone else, seeking externally. And that's through so many organized religion, structures, everything. When it's your decision to enjoy life. I was like, man, we place so much of our joy. That's the confusion or the manipulation in placing these things in the hands of other people, even our children. What this has shown me about really healing the inner child or the little boy within me, the layers of that, is showing me like how I could now not see the fact of my children like as burdensome because of the fact of, again, programming, learn things like where you gotta have a lot of money or you gotta have a lot of this. But I've seen people with all that and they still don't know how to enjoy life. They don't even know how to enjoy life with their children. And that shit hit me. I was like, whoa. What have I been doing? What have we been doing? Okay, yeah, you get the accomplishments, you get the accolades, you get all that other stuff. But I tell myself, the old world will tell you, the old narrative will tell you, go get drunk, go do this with. And I'm like, again, to each their own what people do. But I'm like, really, the enjoyment around, when I say fun, I'm talking about really creating some shit that makes people tap into childlike things. Going to the root of what makes them feel again. What makes them feel seen, acknowledged, accepted, first with themselves. And naturally, being that if we grew up with parents or somebody who didn't know how to embrace that, enjoy that, and so forth, sometimes they could have covered that up with a career. Sometimes they could have distanced themselves, because a lot of what I feel people are chasing towards, or what the programming was, is so they can obtain whatever it is to enjoy life. And what has happened, you will have people who 20, 30 years in a position, or feeling like they got to go through this career to obtain certain monetary or money and so forth, to keep them from truly being present and in the body and with themselves and with their inner child, to really face what's really going on, to keep them from what? Enjoying life with what they have, not only inside but externally. I was like, fuck. I had to give myself permission to enjoy life. So if y'all know, if y'all don't hear from me for months, a year or so forth, if I'm not on social media, whatever it is, you know. Because sometimes that's that spark that's, after you go through that, after you go through that healing, or after you go through whatever people call it, the dark night of the soul, or you start to dig deeper, learn more about yourself, there is a other version. There is a reward from that. And it can be easily distracting, because people like no contact, go away from people. But then I tell myself, I'm sitting here like, as I learn to have more empathy, I can still have the authority to know how to enjoy myself, even in the world of people who don't know how to. And it's not to say all, but that's how important it is, how it begins with you. Because when you see children, they find they're like, that's why their imagination is so powerful. And we're no different. We're children. We're kids. And they find ways to to enjoy life. And I even found ways like to try to fucking destroy that unconsciously. Like that spirit of joy that they naturally have. Like I've seen myself do it with my daughter, where I'm like, what are you doing? Or this and that. And in reality, I catch myself, I'm like, she just came here to enjoy life. And that can be very challenging, because especially when you're in connections or have been in relationships, or even when you realize, like, I start to realize, like, people don't know how to enjoy life. They put it in someone else's hand. They make excuses on why they can't presently show up for themselves and enjoy life, or find the bliss or find the joy in whatever they're doing. That's why I realize how important dancing is. And I don't mean in a performative way. There's been so much shit that has, like, tried to convince us that in order for you to enjoy it, whatever it is, your passion, your purpose, and what you love to do, it has to involve finances, or it has to involve a crowd, or it has to involve things that, that please other people, rather than it starting with you being satisfied. And I'm like, this shit right here, I just cracked the code. But I'm sitting here like, that's what I did when I was drawing today. I was like, I did this for me, but at the same moment, if it's meant to reach other people, I'll feel called to do that. That's my decision. But let me enjoy this. Do y'all see where I'm getting at? The world was like, it was so set up to have people in this rat race and convincing them from a place of fear and programming. Like, even once you get this paycheck, or once you get this opportunity and so forth, and they'll convince you hard work, burn yourself out and so forth. I told myself, and I'm making a conscious decision within myself now, to whatever seeds that I've planted and then how things come about, I'm okay with going away. I'm okay with allowing myself to enjoy the fruits of my labor. I don't even want to say labor, the fruits of the seeds that I planted. To enjoy that. That's what I feel like we haven't given ourselves permission for, because we come from generations, or have came from the old world narratives around the fact of that's where the no rest comes in. Because there has to be a balance between the feminine and masculine. It's like, how many of us have throughout the year, or throughout the fact of how the fear propaganda, the things that are set up to keep people, when you look at the food and the prices and all these other things, all of these things that are literally pushed so that people could continue a loop of the programming, because all of that stuff is no different than what has happened throughout the last era. It's all to keep humanity from progressing, to be self-sufficient. If there's anyone that can relate when it comes to even just being a darker man or indigenous man, what I've experienced and what I've seen other people experience, I'm like, man, when I see how they enjoy things, it's like it's a turn on and turn off. When in reality, source, the divine mother, what's happening is that we're here to enjoy the abundance of life. See, coming from all of those experiences of purging the body, the emotional body, the experiences of all the things that need to be clear, it's so that we can reconnect with enjoying life. Instead of being caught up in planting the seeds, the hustle, and all that shit. Some of you never sat down to enjoy the fruits of your labor. The fruits of what you planted. There isn't a duration on that. And then there isn't a duration on how long you can do it and who you can do it with. Because you decide that. Man. I started to realize that's what a lot of, when I say how things were to keep people in overhaul, overextending and so forth, a lot of us are here to be that blueprint to change that. Because it doesn't, when you see all this dating stuff and all this, that's someone who's looking to enjoy life with someone, depending on their intentions. I'm not going to say all of them. But is it not that? Are we not seeking partnership or wanting to align with a partner where our inner child can connect, and no one wants to go through karmic or those lessons no more of feeling like we want to get hurt or be, all those self-sabotaging abuse? That's the part of the clearing of what our mothers or unfinished business and unresolved things, because that's a part of now. What if I told you that you were sent here, you were meant to enjoy life? I had to learn that through certain connections. That's how I outgrew stuff. When I be telling y'all how your inner child has to mesh with someone or certain things I had to learn along my journey, I'm like, bro, because where are the people that not only have done the inner work, that are purging, that have learned the fact of they now want to enjoy life. And a part of enjoying life is going through that relationship, that marriage, that experience where what? It maybe didn't pan out. Maybe you had things unresolved karmically. Maybe you needed to learn that you need to just be with yourself to enjoy life with yourself. Then that partner may come along to just cherish that very moment, to just enjoy them for where they are. I didn't say tolerate but to enjoy them. The world is shifting. Some of us are here to come to that self-realization, like, I'm ready to be around people, because I had to get here within myself, that knows how to have fun and enjoy life. Enjoy it till its fullness before we leave this fucking body. Because what is this about? The world has convinced you the powers that used to be, it convinced you that you came here to suffer. No, you did not. Those who are choosing to suffer are those who choose not to evolve. Our mother saw and father saw us as burdens because that's what their programming was. They see themselves as burdens. They see the fact of how much they can't accomplish, their unfulfilled dreams, as they say, or things that they didn't, and it keeps them and it blocks them from enjoying and being present, from enjoying the simple things. That's why our children come to illuminate. They are coming in here to show us the purest form that where we used to be. That doesn't mean they don't still inherit behavior patterns or things emotionally, but as we clear that individually, it shows us as adults, maybe I'm here because I'm telling you, I've been in an experience like this, and I realize that's how I realize a lot of people will probably want to reconnect or re-enter your life. I know this for myself. Like I said, all of my experiences wasn't like I came in and just abruptly ruined someone's life. It only happened when I realized that I wasn't in alignment or enjoying my life. Because that's all I truly ever did. There was experiences where I did not have things financially, but I was a vibe. I was like, hey, let's travel here, let's do this and let's do that, until I had to learn balance, until I had to learn to restructure my life. So I had to go through things where I realized, like, okay, now I may be, at a time I was on the receiving end, the feminine aspect. Now I'm on the giving end. You know, at a moment I was giving that. I was able to give and offer that. Now restructuring and coming back into this holistic aspect, I'm able to give differently. That's the balance with life. Maybe when you grew up, you were overextended, you were a giver and so forth, only to become, you know, more balanced within yourself and heal and accept the fact of, okay, maybe in your later on in life, you're here to receive. But that doesn't mean you forget to give. You just know now from a holistic place, you know who to give to first. You know what I'm saying? And then to balance out self, you know, to be able to balance out what you have to offer without overextending. But what it is that those lessons is to show you to find a new part of yourself. The version of yourself where you overextended. Now you self-reflect. Now you go through that place of, you know what? Why did I go through this? Am I able to see the depths of that? Where did I learn this pattern from? And in that you redefine, or you redefine your own identity, how you show up in the world. That's the beauty of like I look at the fact of I had to write those books. I had to do all of those things because it was still showing a version of me that I had to cleanse and purify. It was still showing a version of me that still was connected into who I was. Some of those things I had to create through the most discomfort, like within myself and even in relationships, only to prepare me because I already know what I'm here to do and more, and what's to become. That's a beautiful thing. And there's nothing that can stop it. Because the more I start to accept and realize I'm here to enjoy it, I'm putting that out. I'm feeling it, but I'm also putting it out. And I will align with that. I'm here to enjoy it. But also the discomfort or the uncomfortability comes up also too, can come up in relationships that will mirror that back. That has nothing to do with you, but it's also a reminder when I was in connections like that, it just revealed their unhealthy attachment to the idea, to the identity that they built around that relationship and so forth. Especially if they didn't have a deeper awareness on self, on what it is they want, on what it is that they're here to do. And so, and that's why I say I started to realize a lot of people didn't have fun, and they got so far away from it. Is that once we reconnect with things like that, you're here to enjoy life with what, not only what you have, but what you're creating and building. None of that shit was in vain. I used to sit there and reflect. I'm like, I know a lot of this was like, go towards your bliss. Like, I was like, man, I enjoy writing. When you look at what you've done, literally your what we call past, or what some may call past, like when, in your past life as a child, let's say that, in your child development, when you go to the very things that you enjoyed and love to do, it literally is a mirror of what you're doing in the future. I'm not kidding. Like, I started to realize that. I'm like, oh my gosh. The very things that I was doing then, I'm learning to reconnect and embrace it now and enjoy it. It just comes with a different perspective and a different approach. And then what does it matter, like, if you don't enjoy it with the people that are there with you, that you know you want to experience it with? You know, that's things you can do with yourself, but then enjoy it with the ones that, you know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes, like, people forget that you forgot about them. Now, I told myself I have things that outside of now, well, in like I understand more of how the more I've had compassion for myself, is the more I realize like how far away other people have been from having empathy for themselves, or their inner child, or the parts of them that they've forgotten, the pieces. Shout out to Solara. She said, like, it's almost like we rebuilding ourselves like Humpty Dumpty. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, that's how I've been feeling. Like, I've been putting the pieces together, or the pieces that I feel like they were scattered in my life. People come along to remind you, to mirror that. Oh man, that connection showed me that I forgot about this part of myself. Oh, I forgot about that memory. Imagine that perspective. This person came along just to show you, dang, you know, I forgot about this. Oh, you thought that memory was just done. No, So I start to appreciate and cherish and be grateful for a certain connection. I'm like, this person came along to really show me for real, like, to enjoy life. I can say that with a lot of partnerships. This person came along and, you know, I know the tables have turned. Like I said, I know what I'm coming into. I know what I have already. And it was showing me like, dang. Like, I tell you, some people forget, like, they could have done stuff for you, right? Let's say it like this. I give you this. Some people used to tell me like, oh, I'm, you know, things, they think that just because things end a certain way that you're just out of their life completely. I wanted to believe that until the divine will place you in position to where, hey, I don't want you to forget about the ones that supported you on the way up. I know you want to move on in life. That's fine. But you're moving forward with a different perspective, with a different mindset, with more empathy. Because this person at a time, when you didn't have empathy for yourself, when you didn't have sympathy, when you didn't have a sense of awareness, they opened up their home. They fed you when you couldn't feed yourself. So just think about how people naturally in our lives that are supportive of who we are, and they still reflect a mother and father energy, but still they can represent at a point in time where we couldn't see it as a distorted aspect or unhealthy aspect. But then when we got to that place where we no longer could do that, or we served our purpose there, sometimes I still can't forget. I won't forget about the fact of the memories you create with people, but also the fact of knowing that they didn't have to do what they had to do. So the beauty of like these pieces or things coming together, I would tell you, there were times where I was like, F that person, I don't even give a fuck about like whatever This is what happened. And what that does, again, it can rob you of enjoyment. Because even through all the experience, like I said, I'm not telling people to rekindle things. I'm not telling people that they have to do certain things. It's the fact of the discernment and knowing that you still can protect yourself with standing in love this time around instead of falling. Because no one wants to fall and not ever get up. You can still stand and approach it in a mature way. And that's why I realized, like, I know who I'm preparing to celebrate with. First and most importantly, me and myself, like things that I know that I have on my list, but also the unexpected. I just know that some people ain't even gonna see it coming, and that's the beauty, the element of surprise, or just the element of the fact of learning more about what you're here to do. And in that knowingness, it shifts so much. Because, we learn about people. We learn about ourselves through it too. That's the most important. I feel we forgot about that's being restored. The restoration of the emotional resonance is that the empathy that we didn't grow up with, we're learning to have for ourselves. So the emotional empathy allows us to feel and allows us to emphasize with those people, because they could have only met you as deep emotionally as they met themselves or what they've learned and so forth. So in that, they can only offer and be as emotionally available for themselves or from whatever learned behavior pattern that they learned from a mother or father. They can only show up with what they have inwardly and for what they know. And that's why I had to learn to not ever feel shame and get around my experiences, because so many things revealed to me, like, man, I'm really here to enjoy life and cherish it. And there's yeah. So I say that to tell people, like, enjoyment, man. As you reconnect, you'll realize, like, it's about enjoying you and then cherishing and enjoying others before whatever happens in this world, or before they, leave. We're here to restabilize that and make the best out of it and approach it completely different. So, I feel like, tap into that joy again. Y'all take care of yourself. Peace and blessings. Shalom.